God chooses the place, and most of the time, the place is somewhere you don't want to be. Watch text. Watch text. God says to Abraham, go to the region of Moriah, to a mountain I will tell you. The word tell there is a bad transliteration of the Hebrew Masoretic text. The original language says show you. Watch this. Go to the region of Moriah. The word go is in the present tense indicative. Show is in the future tense indicative. In other words, I got something to show you, but I'm not going to show you till you go. Y'all don't like this. Okay, I've got some revelation for you, but I want to see, will you trust my direction without having all the answers? Ooh. Can you trust God without total disclosure? Abraham is not given all the answers. He's just given direction. He knows it's Moriah, but he won't know which mountain until he starts towards Moriah. See, I know why most of us can't shout, because in this new Pentecostal church, we are sign driven. God told you to open the business. Child, what you waiting on? Child, I'm waiting on a sign. God told you to go back to school. What you waiting on? Man, we get deep. I'm waiting on confirmation. God told you to start a family. You and your husband, y'all real deep. So we just waiting on a rhema word. So you sitting around in your prayer time talking about, God, I trust you. And when you show me, I'm going to move. God's looking back at you saying, if you trust me, move and I'll show you. I wish I had a witness in here. I wish I had a witness. God said, I want to see, will you trust me when I don't give you everything up front? Watch this, because if I give you everything up front, you'll have no need to trust me. You'll have no need to stay in touch with me. And what I'm after is not just blessing you, I'm after relationship with you. And relationship with you can't happen with one encounter. I got to do something that makes you stay in touch with me. Watch this. Who am I talking to? I'm going to mess somebody up. God told you to move to Atlanta. You ain't from Atlanta. You ain't got no family. Pookie, Ray Ray, none of your cousins live here. You don't know why God told you to move to Atlanta, but because you trusted God and made the move, when you got here, he started connecting you and hooking you up with people, because God says, when you trust me without all the answers, I'll begin to bless you in ways that blow your mind. Here's the other thing. Abraham knows the assignment, sacrifice Isaac. He doesn't know the mountain when he starts. There are 3 mountains on Moriah. If he doesn't stay in touch with God, but knows the assignment, if he doesn't stay in touch with God, he will choose the mountain. And if he chooses the mountain, he might not choose the right one. And ain't nothing worse than trying to do the right thing on the wrong mountain. God help me. Ain't nothing worse than trying to do the right thing but in the wrong place. place. It's a dangerous thing to try to do what God called you to do, but you trying to do it in a place God didn't tell you to do it. You just started preaching 6 weeks ago, and all of a sudden you ready to have your own church. So you done started your church in your living room with you and your wife and your children, and 6 weeks later ain't nobody there but you, your wife, and your children, and you trying to figure out what's wrong with the people. Ain't nothing wrong with the people. Maybe you tried to do the right thing on the wrong mountain. You 35 and your biological clock is ticking, so instead of waiting on the right man, you take the right now man, and now you upset because you thought you had Prince Charming, but he turned out to be Freddy Krueger. Ain't nothing wrong with the brother. Maybe you tried to do the right thing on the wrong mountain. You took a job because it had money, but like Biggie said, it had more money but more problems, and now you can't figure out why you catching all this hell on a new job. Maybe that wasn't the right job, and you trying to do the right thing on the wrong mountain. But I might have a witness in here who can testify ain't nothing like being on the right mountain. It might not be as big as your mountain. It might not be as pretty as your mountain. It might not be as high as your mountain, but it's my mountain. It might not be as big as your house, but it's got my name on it. It might not be as fancy as your car, but it's got my name on it. Is there anybody in here who can say, I don't compare my mountain to anybody else's? I wake up every morning thanking God that at least I got a mountain and it's mine. Shake somebody's hand and tell them it's my mountain, and I thank God that it's mine. I ain't got to kiss up to nobody. I ain't got to sleep with nobody. I ain't got to politic with nobody. It's my mountain. Assignments are tied to a place. Y'all sit down, I'm just talking. Here's the second thing. Here's the second thing. God wants to see, God help me now. Can you manage the pain that comes with the pilgrimage of the process? One of my favorite books I read in high school, Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. You know, it's the best times, worst times, the age of wisdom, the age of foolishness, the epoch of belief, the epoch of incredulity. When you read that book, what you discover about Dickens is that what he was saying is that life is the tale of living in two opposites, and that the success of life, watch this, is not trying to live in one city or the other, but that the success of life is knowing how to live in both, sometimes at the same time, in such a way that your attitude don't give away which city you in. I don't know Dickens had any theology, but that's good theology. Because faith and the success of the blessed life is not trying to live in all good. The blessed life is knowing sometimes you got good and bad, but folk won't know which one you dealing with to look at you. Woo! Because you got such a faith in God that when they see you, they can't tell whether you catching hell or living in heaven. Success of the blessed life is managing good and bad. Watch this text. Dewey, when God showed me this, it messed me up. Watch what Abraham says to the fellas. He says, y'all stay here. The boy and I are going to worship. That's what he says. And we'll be back. Now, I know that's major preaching right there. We'll be back. I'm not going to preach that today. Maybe if I get to come back, I'll preach that another time. Because that ain't what caught me. Abraham says, we're going to worship. Look what God makes them carry to worship. The fire, the wood, and the knife. Okay. God makes them carry to worship the fire, the wood, and the knife. Okay. The fire, the wood, and the knife are the ingredients that would be used to kill Isaac. So God makes them carry to worship stuff that has the potential to kill and cause pain. God help me in here today. God makes them carry to worship stuff that has the potential to kill, be painful, be depressing, and be discouraging. What do you do when God